All right. Welcome again to another broadcast. So glad that you guys could join us. Today is Friday, January the 9th, 2026. And I'm so glad that you guys are with us tonight on this broadcast. We are going to take a look at, Elon Musk has been running his mouth quite a bit on South Africa and complaining about how South Africa, when it comes to their local laws, as it relates to international businesses that want to do business in South Africa. Well, Elon Musk, who is, I guess, the richest man in the world, feels as if that those laws are actually racist towards whites. And from the outside looking in, well, it may sound like he may have a point, but does he? And we're going to actually take a look, and guess what we're going to use? We're going to use Grok, his chat GPT version or LLM or whatever you want to call it. I know he wouldn't like that comparison, but we're going to look at what his own system has to say about his own arguments. So that's what we're going to do tonight. And again, welcome. Let's go ahead and get things started.
Yeah. Take your time with this. Samba tree salsa.
You wanna sip it
Again and again.
yeah.
From the leaf to the bottle, yeah, we slow it down. No rush in the process, we let love come around. Yeah. Sun on the flavor, lime in the blend. Once you taste something real, you don't play pretend. Ain't no shortcuts, ain't no disguise. You can see it in the color, taste it when you try. Grown folks sip, yeah, it hit just right. Daytime cooler or warm late night. If you know, then you know what I mean. When it's brewed real slow, keep it clean. Let me tell you what it is, my friend. Brewed, not powdered. Fresh, not pretend. Summer trees, sour sop. You wanna sip it again and again. Brewed, not powdered. Fresh, not pretend. Summer trees, sour sop. You wanna sip it again and again. Pop again, again. Pop that cap, hear the sound, let it breathe. Pour it slow.
And if you haven't gone there, make sure you check out our website, sabatree.com. That's right, sabatree.com. As you can see, we got a lot of things going on there. Sea moss, Irish moss. We got a whole series of specially blended herbs that are for the brain. We got that as well. We have our own food seasonings, natural seasonings, capsules, all kinds of stuff. Make sure you check it out. And we are dropping this tea, soursop tea. You ain't gonna find it anywhere else, y'all. Nowhere else. You can go to Trader Joe's, they ain't doing it. You can go to Whole Foods, they ain't doing it. Natural soursop tea. Natural soursop tea. How natural? These are organic leaves. We're getting them shipped straight from the Caribbean. And they're being processed here, just boiled and, the whole thing. We sweeten it with honey and then just a squeeze of lime in it. Reverse osmosis water. We don't put in natural flavors because if it's natural, it's got its own flavor. Hey! Come on! Hey, come on! We got our own university. Check it out. Our own university. Losing weight. Breaking out of the matrix system. We got that too. You want to get into AI? We got that too. You want to get into AI artwork? We got that too. Come on. You can find all of this over at sambatree.com. All right, let's go ahead and get into it, John. Let's go ahead and get into it. Thank you again so much for joining me this evening. I hope you guys had a great week. I know I had it. Very challenging, like all other weeks or whatever. But we made it. We made it. I think this is I guess this will be considered the first full week of January of 2026, I should say. So congratulations. We actually made it. We made it to the other side and many, many more weeks to go. So a lot of interesting things going on in the news, as you know. You got Trump. I should play that clip. I'll play it in a little bit. Trump literally out here saying that, like it or not, we're going to take Antarctica. I mean, this dude don't quit. I have to give him that. Trump don't quit. He ain't quitting. Let me see if I have that. Let me see if I could pull that up for you. Oh yeah, here it is. Here it is right here. This Trump right here. Let me pull it up for you. In case you think I'm making this up here. This is from his rapid response platform on X. And let's take a look at that. Let's go straight to it. Let's take a listen to what the president is saying about Greenland.
Right now, we are going to
or
do
Antarctica,
on Greenland, whether
Greenland,
they
sorry.
like it or not. Because
Sorry.
right now we are going to do something on Greenland, whether they like it or not. Because if we don't do it, Russia or China will take over Greenland, and we're not going to have Russia or China as a neighbor. Okay? I would like to make a deal, the easy way, but if we don't do it the easy way, we're going to do it the hard way.
Well, there you go. So this is the United States now is just going full bully now, just going in whatever country we want right now. We're just going to go and take it, because if we don't take it, China may come in and take it. Russia may come and take it. Meanwhile, you and I, we could still order stuff from Temu. If China is such a big threat, then why are we still have an economic tie with them? Why is most of the products that we have in our Walmarts and in our Targets, why are we still dependent on them like that if they are such a threat? I mean, if they were a real threat, don't you think they would be slipping all kinds of stuff in our food and our products and stuff like that? I even remember the argument that's still going on that many of the drones, the consumer grade drones that are out here, most of them are made in China, and they were trying to push some legislation to ban these drones because they were saying China was extracting the data, to map out the United States and critical infrastructure. Never mind the fact that, the stuff that these drones capture, you can get right on Google Maps. You're not going to get it. And as someone who is a drone operator, I haven't done it in a minute, but I do have my own drone. There are certain areas it will not fly. You got your geofencing. It won't even let you go to certain areas. It will fly and then come to a complete stop. It won't let you go there. So let's stop. Let's cut the crap about this whole, Russia, they're getting too close now. Meanwhile, you can just take a look on Google Maps and look at how close we are to Russia via Alaska. Yeah, come on. There's a lot more things going on than what they're telling us. So, but anyway, I thought that was interesting. Also, what's the other conversation going on right now is the unfortunate situation involving it was a young lady who basically got shot in Minnesota. And there's still an ongoing debate on, was it justified? Was it not justified? And all of that. And my daughter, she actually, asked me what my take was. I have to be honest with you. I did not watch the whole video because, quite honestly, I'm kind of tired of starting my day off with someone getting killed. You know what I'm saying? So I watched like enough to kind of get what was going on, as far as okay, stop the video here. See, at this moment, you could see that the cops were wrong or she was in the wrong. She's gone now. I'm sorry. She's gone now. And, unfortunate to hear that. I'm not taking either side on it, not because I'm just of that, I mean, I'll just tell you, let me just lay out to you the things that are flags to me. And one day, if I do decide to kind of investigate and look at it further, maybe I will. But one things that I do know is if you are in a vehicle and the police officer motions for you to stop, but yet you proceed at where it's almost can be easily perceived as if you are trying to run that cop over, they can interpret that as you are trying to assault them with a deadly weapon. That's just across the board. Am I saying that's the case here? No, because as I just said, I didn't watch the whole video. Okay, so I'm not saying that, but these are just markers, if you will, that I would just say whoever wants to take on that mantle of being a chief investigator, these are just some things to keep in mind. Another thing that I do know, or I've been hearing, is that a numbers of these ICE officers have been trained by IDF soldiers. It's not surprising. I mean, we've talked about this before. There are police departments all over America that literally fly their representatives over to Israel to get training. Now, why the heck would you send police officers to an area that the whole world is saying is practicing apartheid? Why would you do that? I still don't understand that, but they still do it anyway. And the NAACP, they're kind of cool with it too. They don't really say too much about that because they're getting money from, these Jewish organizations. So they're cool with that. So they're not going to, meanwhile, their job is to, anytime a black kid gets shot by a white cop, now all of a sudden they're the ones to make a big noise about it, a big stink, and say how racist the cops are. But meanwhile, they won't say anything about the connection between many of these police departments who do go to Israel to get trained. They won't mention that at all. But anyway, so that's another thing to kind of keep in mind too on that. Trying to think of, is there anything else? Oh, the final thing I will say is this, is that, where these ICE operations are taking place across the country, they bring, as you would expect, a lot of protesters, right? And, as American citizens, we have our right to protest. You can do that as long as you do it legally, right? But the type of protesting that we do see are, in many cases, and it's not just with ICE, but we've seen it in other cases as well, where you have protesters that are, really are getting in the face of cops, trying to antagonize them, doing all kinds of things to, basically, they're calling it protesting, but it's, I don't know if at a certain point, is it really protesting? And so you have people who are doing things that will get them arrested. You understand? And it's not because you were protesting, it's because you're now interfering. And you got a lot of people who are doing this. And I would even go as far as saying beyond the protest stuff. There's been numbers of cases I have followed over the years, doing this platform, where I've seen, black individuals who will be in their car or whatever. And the videos are all here on YouTube. I mean, you can find them yourself, where you have individuals who will basically go get stopped by the police. And the police are just giving them simple instructions to do X, Y, Z or whatever, but they refuse to do so. And the reason why they refuse to do so is because of the fact that whatever, they just take a very simple situation and they just blow it up to some astronomical thing that it doesn't even have to get to that point. And then they have their phone up like, see what these cops are doing and all of that. And then meanwhile, the cop is like, I just need your license, driver's license, and insurance card. That's all I need. But people just make a whole big deal about stuff. You know what I'm saying? And so, in this day, and we've been saying this, for a long time, y'all just, live your life. I mean, you don't have to if you disagree with something, that's fine. You want to protest, that's fine. But, just as you have a right to protest, they also can have the right to arrest you if you if you pushing that line too far. Like I've seen some cases where you got people slapping the cops in the face, and then as soon as the cops arrest them, all of a sudden they screaming and hollering. It's like, okay, what did you think was going to happen? That kind of stuff. So, for people who are like that, and just be careful and don't. And as a viewer, because I would assume that the majority of you who do watch me, you're not that type. You're not going to be out in the streets doing that kind of stuff, right? But I will speak to you still directly in that when you do see stories that come across your timeline and the video clip that is shown is just a little clip that shows the cop got the person down on the ground, don't just automatically start resharing and saying, see, they're after us and they're after us. Make sure you're taking the time to investigate. Ask questions before you hit retweet. Okay. So yeah, it's that kind of thing that I'm just always here to encourage our people just period. Make sure you're doing your own quick investigations. All right. Like we're going to do tonight. And like I said, in tonight's broadcast, we're going to take a look at these claims that Elon Musk has been making regarding South Africa and accusing South Africa of being racist, towards whites. So I found that to be quite interesting. So anyway, so I wanted to look into that further, and there's some very interesting things in there. He said, I was like, yeah, okay, Elon. All right, real quick, let's pivot over here. I'm gonna show you our community page here, something I posted here, and then we're gonna get into that main segment here. Let me jump to here right. There you go. All right, if you haven't seen it, make sure you check it out. It's over on, we say community page, but YouTube has changed it now to post. So when you go to our YouTube page, make sure you look for that section that says post. That's what used to be called the community page, but now it just simply is called post. Okay. And I've been posting quite a bit of information on here, just about all kinds of topics here. But lately we have been taking a closer look at Jewish history as it pertains to slavery. Now, we've been hearing a lot lately about how, and it's been going on for years, where we do hear from Jewish individuals that will say, just with their full chest that, hey, as Jews, we really didn't have that much to do with slavery. In fact, it was just a small percentage. It was just a few of us, and, that's it. But it wasn't, we weren't as involved as the white people were, but so don't look at us. But the fact of the matter is you were still involved in it. Just as you will go off on people who were working with the Nazis or were Nazis, but maybe they weren't soldiers, just as you go off of those people, we as black folks, we have the same right to expose those who took part in the annihilation, the persecution, the theft of our people here in places like the United States. And if you're in other countries as well, like Central South America, wherever the African diaspora is, yes, those black individuals who are the descendant of slaves, African slaves, can and should talk about these things openly. We have every right to do it. And so what we've been doing is looking at a ton of books that are written by Jews themselves that tell a much different story than what they are wanting you to believe. And one of the things I have been pointing out to you is that platforms like ChatGPT and some of the other ones, well, they're not going to give you this information because these platforms do what? They give you preferred information. They're not going to give you the whole story. So this is why it is important for you to have access to books, be it digitized books or real books. I prefer the real books, but digitized will do. And so here's another book that I came across, and this is just a short article. This book is, it's called Sketches of Jewish Bravery, Loyalty, and Patriotism in the South American Colonies and West Indies. And then I have the author's name there, along with the page number where I found it. Now, let's take a look here at something that I'm sure that many of you may not have been aware of. And of course, they're not going to tell you this. ChatGPT isn't going to tell you unless you know what questions to ask. But anyway, here we go. As previously noted in the case of Machado, anno 1690, the year 1690, the slaves of another wealthy Jewish planter, Manuel Pereira, rebelled against their master in 1738, and thinking to shake off the yoke of slavery, cruelly murdered him. Hereupon, Isaac Aarons, a former officer of the Jewish militia who lived in the victim's neighborhood, sent out a detachment of Jewish volunteers headed by David Nassy and Abraham de Brito to wreak vengeance on the rebels. Now, mind you, yes, they were rebels. Yes, absolutely. Did they kill somebody? Yep, they sure did. But mind you, you guys literally took them from their homeland and you enslaved them and gave absolutely no rights. So these are slaves. So what do you expect slaves to do? Right? But now all of a sudden they're being treated as criminals because these slaves do what all slaves do after a while when they are fed up. Right? And so the troops remain. Okay, so let's see. The troops remained away for 6 weeks in the enemy's camp, and it began to be feared that they were utterly routed and destroyed when the company returned, bringing with them, the trophies of a most successful onslaught made against the Maroons, namely 6 hands severed from fallen Negroes and 47 prisoners of war. So these Jewish slave owners formed a militia. This is the source I got it from, okay? They formed their own militia, and they hunted down these Maroons who were slaves that escaped. And when they caught them, they killed, a bunch of them or whatever. But then they went even further than that. They cut their hands off and used it as a trophy. Well, where else have we seen that same practice? Well, it was Brussels, I think, that used that in Congo, did they not? And when you go to Brussels today, well, they actually sell the candies, chocolate candies. You can still get this in Brussels today. These are chocolate candies in the shape of a hand. And I was watching some documentary about this, and they tried to make it seem like, oh, no, it was, the hand sign, it actually is a sign of peace. Yeah, you took a piece off of their body. Yeah, that's what the peace means. But you see what I'm saying? So you had these Jewish slave owners that went that far, cut the hands off of these Africans who were slaves and wore them around their neck as a necklace. Oh, you're not going to see that in a movie. Will Hollywood ever maybe make that into a movie? Will they ever talk about that one? No, probably not. Well, this is why, again, we're doing our part here on this platform. We have our own digital library, over 700 books that you can access right now. Cost is only $9.99. That's it. It's not $9.99 a month or anything like that. If you go to our page, that post page I was telling you about, you'll find instructions on how you can access it. Okay, it's very easy, simple. And for those of you who did already purchase, like I said, within the same day, I'm already sending that access to you. Now, if by chance you did not get that email or get that message, you can email me at connect@journeymanandwoman.com. Again, it's connect@journeymanandwoman.com, and I will resend it to you. But yeah, I'm quickly as I get it, I just send it right back. Okay, so make sure you check that out, you guys. We have to be people who read books. All right, make that a priority this year. All right, so anyway, so let's go in and move on. Also, for our Samba Tree family, we did send an email out today. We did a whole article where we're looking at the science between citrus fruits and people who have a lot of melanin. Okay, it's one thing to say, oh, you got to eat your fruits and vegetables, honey. It's one thing to say that, but there is a connection to our bodies, the way our bodies are made. There is a particular reason why we need certain fruits and vegetables. And citrus fruits are one of them. So we're not just selling citrus fruits just to sell them. We're selling it because there is a biological need for it, particularly amongst us as black folks or people who have a lot of melanin. Now, again, I'm not saying citrus fruits are black fruits. I'm not saying that. But our bodies, just like white bodies, just like Asian bodies, so forth and so on, there are specific reasons why our bodies need certain fruits. Okay. And so that's what we talked about in that email. And I'll be putting out an email, or rather a video out over on Tree in a couple of days, really breaking that down and explaining that to you. Okay. So make sure you check that out. All right, let's get into it. Okay. So Elon Musk, let's go ahead and play this video of him talking about how he is a victim, the world's richest individual. Is a victim. Oh my gosh. He is a victim. Can you believe that? So no matter how much money you make in this world, you will never make it in this world because of racism. Oh God. Anyway, so let's take a look here and let's listen to Elon Musk talk about the racism that he is enduring, as a white South Africaner who is here in America. Let's take a look and listen to his story.
Not otherwise. And so now I'm in this absurd situation where I was born in South Africa but cannot get a license to operate in Starlink because I'm not black.
Well, it looks
Does
like
that
that's
seem
about.
right
Look,
to
it
you?
looks
Does
like
seem
that.
right to you?
Looks like that's about to change.
I just asked you a question. Please answer. Does that seem right to you?
Well, those rules were designed to
Does that seem
bring.
right to you, yes or no?
Those rules were designed to bring about an era of more economic equality in South Africa, and it looks like the government has found a way around those rules for you.
I asked you a question.
This is your interview. Everyone wants to hear from you.
I asked you a question. Yes or no?
Not
Racist
for me.
laws, yes or no?
Not for me to answer. I have got a question for you about your government
must
work
like
though and the
racist laws,
amount of
then.
savings.
Why do you like racist laws?
This is not for me to answer. Come on.
Yes, it is.
Now you wouldn't be trying to dodge a question.
You have to.
Yeah. Anyway, so she already answered it for him, but he don't want to hear that. So that's what we're going to talk about. So what we're going to do now is I'm actually going to go to Grok and let's see. I'm just going to read it to you, what I was finding out, because there was some, it's very strange to me. Now, I have heard about the laws there. Okay. But we're going to get it. We're going to break it all down for you in a moment here. All right. So I've heard about how South Africa is saying, hey, listen, if you want to do business here in South Africa, you're an international company. What we demand, and this is what most people hear. All right. What we demand is that you have to at least 30% of, I think it's ownership of your company in South Africa has to be basically turned over to Black South Africans. Right. And, so if that's, you want to do business here, fine, but you're going to have to turn that over, 30%. Now, as an entrepreneur myself, and that doesn't just apply to white people, right? That's anybody. I've heard black folks as well. You want to try to do business in South Africa, it's very tough. And when I say black folks, that's Black Americans. There's people from other countries in Africa. It applies to them. It applies across the board. That's one of the things that Elon Musk doesn't mention that. But the fact of the matter is it applies to any international business. But as the lady mentioned, there are ways that the South African government has made ways around that, right? So let's get into it, and I'll talk about it a little bit here. All right, so I'll just read to you. I went to Grok. I have it up here. I'll just show it to you. What I'm reading off of. Okay, so that's Grok there. So I'm going to be reading straight from Grok. This ain't just me making this up here. Okay. All right. Let's see. Okay, here we go. He says the country's laws are blocking his satellite internet dream because he's white. It's a bold claim laced with apartheid echoes. And it's got everyone from Pretoria to Palo Alto talking. But Is it the full story, or is Elon oversimplifying a complex game of global business chess? And then it goes on. Let's see. All right, let's go ahead and continue because it's a bunch of other stuff here. Okay. It all reignited early 2026 when Musk fired off his ex-post. Starlink is not allowed to have an internet provider license in South Africa for the sole reason that I am not black. This is not okay. Boom, retweets exploded. He said he doubled down, tweeting that South Africa now has more anti-white laws than there were anti-black laws under apartheid. Over 140 race-based policies, he claims, stacking the deck against folks like him, a white South African-born billionaire trying to beam broadband from space. Musk beef? Starlink's application for an electronic communications network service license from ICASA, South Africa's telecom regulator, is stalled. The hang-up BBEE, I'll tell you what that means, which is broad-based black economic empowerment. It's a post-apartheid framework mandating that companies, especially in key sectors like ICT, hand over at least 30% ownership to black South Africans. Musk sees this as reverse racism, a personal slap from the Rainbow Nation he left at 17. And it's not just talk, it's personal. Born in Pretoria to a white family, Elon evokes Mandela's legacy, arguing that rules portray the equity dream. He posts that his posts have even fueled U.S. congressional whispers about white genocide in South Africa, echoing far-right fringes. Why does this resonate? Because inequality in South Africa is brutal. Black unemployment hovers at 40%. And apartheid scars run deep. Decades of white-owned wealth concentration. Musk framing taps into the frustrations, flipping the script. Now he's the outsider. It's raw, it's viral, it spotlights a real barrier. Foreign firms without black equity, you're sidelined from licenses, tenders, the works. Starlink, a U.S. powerhouse under Musk control, can't just plop down satellites without playing ball. In that sense, yeah, Elon's race or lack of blackness is the proxy for non-compliance. It's a de facto hurdle for white-led globalists. All right, now let's continue here, but here's where the plot thickens and where Musk's narrative starts to oversimplify. This isn't a blanket white ban. It is a scorecard system, not a skin color litmus test. The B-BBEE awards points for ownership, skills training, supplier diversity, you name it. Hit the targets and you're golden. Miss, well, tough luck on government perks. Enter the equity equivalent investing program. Now, this is another program that South Africa, this is what that journalist was alluding to. All right. It's called the EEIP, the Equity Equivalent Investment Program. The loophole Elon seems to be ignoring. Designed for multinationals like SpaceX that can't dilute equity due to global policies. EEIP lets you skip the share sale. So in other words, he doesn't have to give up 30% of his company, in South Africa. And remember, they're saying 30% of your company in South Africa, not overall. They're just saying if you're going to be in South Africa, your operations, 30% of it needs to be, ran by black South Africans. That's what it's saying. I just want to be clear with that. Okay. All right. So the EEIP lets you skip the share sale. Instead, invest the equivalent value, let's say 25% of your South African operations worth into black empowerment. Think funding black-owned startups, tech skills, boot camps, or community hubs. It's ministerial approved, time-bound, often 10 years, and it's working for others. Microsoft, because see, everybody, he wants to talk about himself, but there's quite a few examples of other companies that they've been doing this for a long time and they don't have any problems with this. So you got Microsoft dropped 1.32 billion rand over a decade for black AI training companies. IBM, 700 million rand in similar plays. Amazon Web Services accelerating 100% black IT firms. Samsung, HP, even JP Morgan in finance. These are white-led or Western-owned giants operating smoothly in South Africa via the EEIP. No equity seeded, full control retained. Starlink pitched something similar, enterprise development investments, but ICASA is dragging their feet on approval. Is it bureaucracy, politics, or just negotiation tactics? The point is, options exist. Musk's sole reason line paints a dead end when the map has detours. This is Musk. This is what your own Grok is saying about you. All right. And let's be real. This isn't persecution. It's policy with precedence. South Africa's chasing inclusive growth. FDI hit $9 billion in 2025, partly because the BBBEE forces share wins. Critics, including some South African economists, say that it deters investors, but data shows black ownership in the JCE firms averaging 30%. 30%. Musk's selective outrage. He thrives in China. He thrives in China's maze. More on that next. And he says, and he rails against U.S. regulation when it suits him, framing it as anti-white apartheid 2.0. Amps the drama, but skips the nuance. It's redress, not revenge. Now let's zoom out. If South Africa's rules feel like a racial gauntlet, why doesn't the same heat hit other giants with locals first laws? Take China, the elephant in the global boardroom. Foreigners can't just walk in there either. McDonald's, they can't franchise Golden Arches overnight. In 1990, with state-backed and then they funds, basically, mandatory local partnership, tech transfer, the lot. Fast forward, it took 27 years and $2 billion buyout to go full owner, thanks to 2020's foreign investment law easing up. So this is in China. So South Africa's racist because they have a buy-in stipulation, right? You can't just come over there and set up camp, right? This is China. I can't just go over there and say, okay, I want to buy that land over there and I'm going to build a factory. I'm going to start doing things. No, you're going to have to invest in China first. You're going to have to invest in the people first before you do anything. This is across the board. Elon Musk, anybody. So China does this. It's not racist. South Africa does it. It's racist. You see what I'm saying? Anyway, let's move on. And then it goes on. It says China's playbook, the negative list. Bans on caps, foreign stakes in telecom, autos, finance. One in, Finacino foreign JV hand over majority control to a Chinese partner. That sounds familiar, doesn't it? Data localization, national security reviews, local content quotas. It's economic nationalism on steroids. Protect jobs, steal transfer tech. Build domestic champs. FDI poured in $163 billion in 2025, but on Beijing's terms. Tesla, Musk-owned baby, built a Shanghai gigafactory via this sole plan, sharing secrets with locals. No full ownership until later tweaks. So here you got Musk. He's bending all kinds of ways in China, even handing over secrets to the company to the Chinese. And that's fine. He's willing to do that. South Africa is trying to take a stand for itself. Now, all of a sudden, South Africa is the one that's racist. South Africa is the one that's anti-white. But he's not using that same rhetoric for China. All right. And China isn't alone. India's FDI policy demands 26% of local sourcing in phones. Indonesia caps foreign mining stakes at 49%. Dang. Brazil's local content rules for oil rigs. These are empowerment tools, national, not racial. Yet they rarely spark genocide tweets. South Africa's twist, the apartheid ghost, makes it personal, racial redress explicit. But the mechanics, universal gatekeeping for globals. All right, so there you go. There you go. This is straight. What I just read from you literally comes straight from Elon Musk Grok. It literally comes straight from there. And he apparently doesn't have any problems with these other countries. But then all of a sudden, South Africa is saying, hey, we want to start doing something for our own. Now all of a sudden it's racism. Now all of a sudden black folks are being racist now. Let me see here. It's good to see everybody in the chat. So glad that you guys are here. Let me see. Not DEI. It's H1B. Something I wanted to show y'all. Let me see if I can pull this map up here. Because he actually relocated, his Elon Musk factory. He relocated his I guess it was his main factory from California to Texas. I'll show you something here. Let me see if I can pull this up here. Anyway, of course I can't pull it up. Let me see if I do one other thing here. Probably not. Let me see. Anyway. There was a map someone put together. And what they showed was if you look at the state of California and compare it to the state of Texas, you're going to find that most of the H-1Bs, you know which state has the highest concentration of them? Texas. And it just so happens that he relocated his facilities from California to Texas. If you take a look at his, did I download that? Where did I download that? Let me take a look here. If you take a look at something else here. This will be on my phone. All right, it's on my phone. Let me pull this up here. This will be on my phone here. Let me pull this up here because I want you to take a look at this too as well. Oh, here it is. This is SpaceX. Alrighty, here we go. Here you go. Here you go. So this is his company here. I want you to take a good look here. I want you to take a good look here. Now, I bet, I'm willing to bet, how many black folks do you see in that picture? How many black folks you see in that picture? And I'm talking black folks. I'm talking black people, okay? I'm talking about darker skinned faces. I'm just talking black folks. Because if you do see any darker skinned faces there, they're more than likely they're from India. You're not going to find too many black folks at SpaceX or any of his other companies. You're really not going to see that. The overwhelming majority of his employees are either going to be white or from India. And remember, he was fighting pretty hard for those H-1B visas. So I personally don't care. It's your company. You can hire whomever you want. That's your choice. That's what you want to do. That's it. But don't be over here in the United States crying about how you're being shut out due to you being white. But I think it's safe to say that you're kind of doing the same thing here in the United States when it comes to these H-1B visas. You're using the same stuff. You literally are doing the same thing. So are we to believe that the only qualified people that can do that kind of work are white and from India, that you have to ship from India? Those are the only people that are qualified to do your work? Again, it's your company. You can hire whomever you want, and you should have the right to do that. But to be here in the United States and you're crying about the fact that South Africa is saying, hey, we're going to start gatekeeping our stuff too. And yeah, we do prefer our own people. If South Africa, if that's what they want to do, then that's their choice. Just like it's your choice to hire whomever you want to hire. I don't see a problem with that. But Elon Musk, you literally are skipping over many well-qualified Americans, regardless if they're black, Asian, whatever, Hispanic or whatever, to hire the people, the exact people that you want for your company. Again, I'm not going to sit up here and say you're racist and all that. I ain't got to do all that. I'm just looking at your company. I mean, just take a look. Look at the people you got that you go out of your way to hire. And I've seen many, many videos of him doing, like, you know, talking to the company, he's sitting down with his various team members and all of that. I have yet to see a black face up in there. Yet. I see a lot of Indians there, and I see white folks. I have not seen too many black folks at all. If there are some, that would be a shock. But you can hire whomever you want. That's your choice. It should be your choice anyway. I'm not even mad at you for that. But to be over here in the United States gaslighting everybody and trying to say that somehow you're being discriminated against, Joker, please. You're the richest person in right now in the world. There is discrimination should not even be in your vocabulary. And the fact that there's so many people that look at this dude like he's some kind of average Joe guy, you know, he's just trying to, you know, hey, I'm just a, you know, I'm just, you know, I'm smart, but hey, I'm just like you. You know, what's up, homeboy? What's, you know, like, no, you ain't, man. You don't fit in. You don't fit in with us. Okay. You don't fit in with us. And it ain't because you're white. You just don't fit in. You don't fit in at all. So South Africa, like I said, South Africa, and we've done videos just talking about South Africa, period, from a historical standpoint to, you know, social stuff that's going on there. South Africa, yes, has its own share of problems. We can get into all of that. We've already talked about that. But at the end of the day, they are and should be a sovereign nation. And that's how they should be treated. Just like all the other nations. You have no problem bending over backwards for all of these other nations. Why can't South Africa do the same for their people? I don't see a problem with that. And for those that got a problem with that, they can go skip rocks. You know? And you remember earlier, was it last year, Trump was like, oh my God, I got to get these South Africans. We got to get white South Africans. Oh, we got to get them out of here. Oh, we got to escape. They got to escape. They're under heavy persecution. Remember all of that? Now all of a sudden, it ain't no big deal now. Nobody's talking about that. Really something. It's really, really something. I tell you, those race dog whistles, man, it can get a lot of people crazy, can't it? Anyway, that's it. That's all I was going to talk to you about here. There's, of course, a lot of other things going on here. Let's take a quick look, see what everybody else is saying here. And we got Elon sounds like an entitled child crying because he can't sit at the table with the cool kids. That's right, because he is at the end of the day. He is. Someone else said it's a white wash. It is. It is. And again, do what you want. It's your company. It's your company. Don't care. Don't care at all. Many of those African nations want foreigners to give up 51% of any new business they want to launch to a national citizen. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I've heard that. It's not just South Africa. There's many of these countries like that. Now, again, what will a lot of people point to? The first thing they'll say is, yeah, a lot of those countries, they're corrupt and all of that. They want 51%. But I noticed they'll use that a lot for African countries doing that, regardless if you agree with it or not. The truth is there's other countries that are non-African that do the same thing. They want a lot of stuff. You can't just roll up into these countries and start setting up camp. You can't do that. They want a lot from you. But depending on how much weight you have, you can kind of get around some of that stuff. But anyway, that's it. That's all I have for you. That's all we have. So let's see. This weekend, I don't know tomorrow, but I know this weekend we'll have some videos going up, or a video going up over on Samba Tree. I already told you about that, so keep a lookout on that. For our digital library, I will be uploading a lot more stuff over the weekend, so just be on the lookout for that. And you'll see it's a separate folder, and in that folder I think it's 126. I think that's what it's called, new items for 126. So anything I come across in the month of January, I'll just dump in there as well. So I'm very serious about that. So we're over 700 books deep, and we're going to be adding a lot more resources. So be on the lookout for that. Anything else, I'll just post it in a community page. Again, thank you so much for tuning in. You guys enjoy the rest of your weekend, and we'll be talking again soon. Take care. I'll see you again real soon.